Wakisema wanataka Kalonzo ni Kalonzo, wakisema wanataka Ruto ni Ruto, wakisema wanataka Matiang'i ni Matiang'i, wakisema wanataka Sifuna Sifuna. Jamani, chungeni. Mimi sitaki kuitwa sponsor bana. Mimi sitaki mambo mingi. Mimi nimesema ya kwamba chaguo ni la nani? Chaguo ni la nani? Na hakuna haja ya kulazimisha Mkenya yeyote kwenda upande huu au upande huu. Wakenya watajichagulia.
Welcome to this broadcast. And Kenya former President Uhuru Kenyatta have responded to President William Ruto that as of 2027 a political battle heats up, and Kenya's political scene is once again attracting attention after former President Uhuru Kenyatta responded to claims linking to the funding political activities associated with the Linda Mwananchi movement. And speaking on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026, real event for former Vice President Michael Kijana Wamalwa in Kitale, Trans Nzoia County, Uhuru dismissed the suggestion that he is seeking another government position or secretly sponsoring political activities. President made it clear that he is not interested in returning to government, while also insisting that Kenyans should be allowed to decide for themselves which leaders they want to support in the next general election that is coming 2027. Marks come at a time when a political temperature in Kenya are gradually rising ahead of the 2027 general elections. And President William Ruto and some of his allies in the UDA have previously accused Uhuru Kenyatta of supporting political forces opposed to the current administration. And those accusations have generated a heated political debate, particularly around the Linda Mwananchi movement and opposition politicians like Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and the likes of Rigathi Gachagua and also Fred Matiang'i. But you can just be dropping your thoughts, opinions, feedbacks down below the comment section, and let's have a beautiful conversation. I remember Senator of Nairobi Edwin Sifuna had his remarks to President William Ruto and told him that actually as a country and Kenyans as a people, they are in trouble as the head of state is relying on magazines to find news that actually Linda Mwananchi is being sponsored by former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And remember, Uhuru's response appears to challenge that narrative, and the former president has rejected the idea that he is operating behind the scenes to control the opposition or determine who should take power in the coming general elections in 2027. And this is where the political story becomes even more interesting. And political analysts say that the growing exchange between President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta could be an indication of how important the 2027 election is becoming. And although it is still too early to predict the outcome of the next election, political alliances are already beginning to take shape, and politicians are positioning themselves for what could become one of Kenya's most closely watched elections. And analysts argue that the repeated accusations against Uhuru Kenyatta could also demonstrate how seriously the government is monitoring his influence within the Kenyan politics and Uhuru Kenyatta influence in the opposition opposition politicians. Continue sharing your thoughts, opinions, feedbacks down below in the comment section about this speech of today's Uhuru Kenyatta speech, which actually is now trending on social media platforms. On number one, many Kenyans, they are praising his remarks towards President William Ruto that he was the one who was sponsoring Linda Mwananchi, and he has talked about that he is not a sponsor. Also, Charity Ngilu made her appearance in the remembrance of Kijana Wamalwa in Kitale in Trans Nzoia County after a long time of not being in public. And some analysts have interpreted the situation as a sign that President Ruto's political camp may be increasingly concerned about the possibility of a broad opposition coalition emerging before 2027. However, right now it is important to distinguish political analysis from established fact, distinguishing political analysis from established fact. And there is no confirmed evidence that President William Ruto is personally afraid of the 2027 election. Rather, analysts are interpreting the increasing political attacks, counter-attacks, and alliance buildings as a sign of growing competition ahead of the election, and it is making President William Ruto to get the panic attack coming 2027. Remember, for Uhuru Kenyatta, the situation presents as an interesting political position. Even after leaving the presidency, his name continues to appear in national political discussions, and his supporters argue that his experience and political networks means that he remains an influential figure in Kenyan politics. And his critics, however, accuse him of remaining involved in political activities despite no longer holding public office. And Uhuru Kenyatta has repeatedly maintained that the future of Kenya should be determined by its citizens, and that political leaders should respect the democratic choices of Kenyans. Share your thoughts, opinions, or feedbacks down below in the comment section. And remember also, politicians associated with Linda Mwananchi, the likes of Babu Owino and Nairobi Senator Edwin Sifuna, have also rejected claims that the movement is being controlled or funded by the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And this has created a political battle over one major question: who is really behind the growing political movement ahead of 2027? As the election approaches, Kenyans are likely to hear more accusations, political counterattacks, and claim about secret alliances. And the bigger question will be whether the opposition can unite, whether the government can maintain its political coalition. With the 2027 general election getting closer, every statement from major political figures is likely to attract enormous attention, and the battle for 2027 may still be months away, but the political groundwork is already underway, and the alliances being created today could determine who controls Kenya tomorrow. And as President Ruto faces increasing political competition, the question remains: President William Ruto successfully defend his position in 2027? Will President William Ruto successfully defend his position in 2027? Or will a united opposition coalition change Kenya's political direction? Or will a united opposition coalition change Kenya's political direction? You can just share your thoughts, opinions, feedbacks down below in the comment section, and let's have a beautiful conversation about this developing story that it is developing. And also you can just feel free to smash the like button below, and also subscribe button. And thanks for doing that, and see you on our next one.